Hello, my name is Blossoms and welcome to another Genshin Impact video. And today we are finally unleashing our first build from the vault. And you might be asking, Blossoms, why did you decide to do Sucrose first? Do you have any particular reason for doing so? No, I absolutely have no ulterior motives for doing Sucrose first. There's absolutely nothing influencing my decision making on doing Sucrose first for the build portion. Anyway, this build does have some disclaimers involved. I will say my Sucrose is only level 70. Typically, I would like to do my build videos when they are at 80 and a little bit more acclimated to the current world level. I did hit AR 40 last night and my world level went up, so my characters are a little bit behind in terms of dishing out an absolute crap ton of damage. I also just am missing maybe a couple substats of things I would like to try. There are definitely different sets with Sucrose that I would like to try. However, the current build I have now I absolutely love and I'm enjoying, and I definitely think can be carried on into the future whether I want to use a different build or not. Also, before we get into the actual build, I want to ask you guys to comment down below if you enjoyed this video and how I might be able to improve it in the future. So go ahead and watch, and then if there are things that you would like to see in these type of build videos that I did not include, I would love to see what you have to say below. Always trying to improve these videos. Anyway, onto the build. Now, for the artifacts for Sucrose, I went with the Viridescent Venerer set. It's got that nice anemo damage bonus, and then it also increases swirl damage by 60%, which is a lot, and then decreases opponent's elemental resistance to the element infused in that swirl by 40% for 10 seconds. That's extremely strong for Sucrose, especially since she's such a heavily focused elemental mastery character. A lot of her talents give your allies elemental mastery and boost their elemental mastery, so having her at a high elemental mastery is extremely nice, and will be increasing that swirl damage even further on top of that 60%, and also debuffing so you can swap to your teammates. It's extremely strong. She's an integral combo piece in my team, especially with Ling, and I've just been really enjoying this set. However, I do think there are some alternatives, and I will go over that in just a second. But for now, let's go ahead and take a look at the stats I have on this set. One thing to note is, as you can see, they are all 4 stars, so I'm not getting insane numbers as I might get with the plus 25 stars. However, this is still plenty good enough to be very strong in my current world level, and we'll show that off later. Now, for the flower and the feather, nothing too crazy. As you can see, the substats aren't insane, and the flower and the feather have those flat stats that, you know, don't really matter too much. However, for the little variables of substats, I have elemental mastery and then attack and attack. And I think this is kind of how I want to go right now. I think if I had one of the Viridescent timepieces, I would, like, I have one, but it's HP percent, nobody cares about that. If I had a Viridescent timepiece, then I might be able to move the cup to anemo bonus damage, and or maybe something a little bit different like energy recharge. I do have this energy recharge piece, and I do like that. It allows you to get her elemental burst quite often. However, I think building Sucrose for elemental mastery is going to be more beneficial to the team overall due to her talents, and we will just briefly go over those again for those of you who don't remember from the showcase video, so I'll explain that in full later. So we're going with the full Viridescent set with attack, elemental mastery. Very nice, very strong. However, say you just don't like the set, you're a hater of the set, and you don't want nothing to do with it, and you hate farming that domain, that's okay, I got you covered. Another amazing set for Sucrose is the Instructor set. I don't have one level it up. I would show it off if I did, and I plan to in the future. However, this is an extremely strong set for Sucrose, considering she does work off elemental mastery, as we said before. It pluses her elemental mastery by 80, and then on top of that, after using an elemental skill, it increases all party members' elemental mastery by 120. That is huge. and considering the bonuses she gives your teammates with her talents, that's going to be increasing them by maybe 200, almost 300, depending on her elemental mastery, which is actually a crazy amount of elemental mastery. Yeah, so this build is mostly focused on buffing up her attack and her elemental mastery, allowing her to just dish out that damage and debuff for the allies, as I don't have her as my main DPS. She's more of a support DPS and crowd control component to my team. Whew, I feel like I'm talking a lot, right? Anyway, for her weapon, I've got Mappa Mare. I've only got a refinement rank 1, and this is probably my best catalyst for Sucrose. I could go with Eye of Perception or something. That's not too bad. However, I think Mappa Mare is probably better, as it does increase that elemental mastery, and triggering an elemental reaction grants 8% elemental damage bonus for 10 seconds, max 2 stacks, so that pluses to 16%, and it only goes up as I refine it, and since it's a craftable weapon, I can continue to refine it, which is extremely nice, allowing me to not only get that elemental mastery bonus that is going to carry on to my teammates, but also allow myself to deal that additional damage. I do think maybe you could go for a crit build where her catalyst could have a crit substat, and that could be absolutely huge for her. However, I don't have any crit substat books, so I haven't been able to test that out and how effective that might be. For the constellations, just want to let you guys know, I only have the one constellation, and I think it is quite integral to using Sucrose, as having the 2 charges on her S-stable and Nemo Hypostasis Creation 6308 is absolutely insane. It allows you to just dish out that much more damage, provide that much more crowd control, and allows her to be quite the combo piece in your team. Now, as I said, briefly going over some of the additional talents here is the Catalyst conversion. When Sucrose triggers a swirl effect, characters in the party with a matching element have their elemental mastery increased by 50 for 8 seconds. That's a flat 50, very nice. And then on top of that, we have Molus Favonius, and when she uses either of her abilities and it hits an enemy, it increases other party members' elemental mastery based on 20% of Sucrose's elemental mastery for 8 seconds. That's why I say it's so important to get her elemental mastery up, because you're going to be able to buff your teammates' elemental mastery that much more, allowing them to dish out a huge amount of damage whenever you swap to them. And for those of you who don't know, her elemental burst is a AoE anemo damage over time, very strong, has elemental absorption, and then her first ability is an AoE anemo damage. It doesn't have elemental absorption, however it does still provide that swirl effect. It's very strong, deals a lot of damage, and we do have 2 charges because of that constellation. And as I mentioned before, a little bit of a forewarning is my Sucrose isn't dishing out huge amounts of damage, as she is a support DPS, and then on top of that, I just don't have her talents leveled up as much as I would like to. If I did, she would be dishing out huge amounts of damage, but until I get those books, we are just going to have to deal with this. So for those of you interested in perhaps mimicking my build, these are the different stats I currently have going on for those of you interested. Pretty decent anemo damage bonus, nothing too crazy though. And one more thing before we go ahead and get into the gameplay is that Sucrose's hidden little stat here is anemo damage bonus, which is very nice and does allow you to perhaps sacrifice that cup being an anemo damage bonus, which is why I wasn't too worried about it in my build. Now, for this portion of the gameplay, I did just kind of want to show off Sucrose in action with my team. I'm only going to be using Xiangling in this just to kind of demonstrate the sheer amount of potential she provides with a team composition, as I do want this to mostly focus on Sucrose. However, since she does kind of accentuate your teammates a lot, especially in this build, I kind of wanted to go ahead and show it off in that team scenario. We're going to show it off in a general overworld fight first, and then we're going to be moving on to a boss just to kind of show off her solo DPS and then also her DPS with a team. So going in here, we can stun them all like that. You see we're doing pretty good damage there, about 3,000 per. And then we can just add in Gyoba here, adding in that fire and dealing that much more damage. See, they're all pretty much dead before I could even get the debuff going for Gyoba to really accentuate Xiangling, because Sucrose does do that much damage by herself, which is pretty insane. especially since she has those two skills. You saw we were doing about 3,000. That can easily pop up to 5,000 with the talent level up, which is what I'm shooting for. And you can kind of get an idea of how strong she could be as an AoE character. However, I will go ahead and show off one more open world scenario before we go on to the boss. Alright, we got a beefier Midicharl here. Hopefully he can kind of show off what I'm talking about. Now we got that swirl going. Gilba's going to do even more damage. You see he's doing that nice little 1400. She's getting all those swirl procs. And as I said, my normal attack isn't crazy here. So pairing her with somebody like Zhangling is going to be huge, as you're just going to be able to do huge damage numbers like this, where I haven't even broken his shield. He's already dead, just because I was getting that swirl damage in, that debuff for the pyro, and just overall doing that much more damage. You see we're getting about 2,000 per, not even to mention the swirls there. Pretty insane when you start to combo her off with characters. She's strong by herself, but when you actually pair her with your team, you can see that she does insane amounts of damage. Now for the next portion of the kind of gameplay showcase is I'm going to go in and fight the Cryo Regisvine with Sucrose by herself first, just to get an idea of her solo DPS, and then I'm going to pair her with Zhangling just so you can see how she accentuates characters like Zhangling who leave their abilities on the field, as well as provide that elemental mastery bonus, and just those kind of things. And but for the most part, we're just going to go ahead and show off her solo DPS first, and then show her in that kind of like team scenario that I have her current build meant to be in. Alright, I went out and I got her elemental burst so we could go ahead and show off her solo DPS a little bit more accurately, and then I will go ahead and do so again whenever we pair her with Zhangling in the next little showcase portion. I'm going to go ahead and use Zhangling here to get rid of the ice thing right there, just so I can do the primary damage with Sucrose here. There we go. Now you can get a rough idea of how she operates by herself. As I said, I don't have her talents leveled up very much. Her normal attack is only at level 2, so nothing too crazy there on the anemo damage. Alright, and now we're going to be able to show off her kind of support DPS role. I got her elemental burst again. We're going to pair her with Zhangling, and I do want you guys to keep in mind I haven't quite caught up with my own world level, so I'm not even doing that good of damage in general right now. I did make the kind of huge mistake of leveling up too many characters, as you might see 40, 40, 40, 50, 60, 60, 53, 70, 70, 70. So, you know, a little bit kind of over leveled, a little bit too many people. I just like too many of the characters. It's a problem I have. But anyway, so yeah, don't think the damage is going to be too crazy here. However, do understand that it is still very strong, and as I level up, it's just going to get stronger. I've set this up in a way that is just going to scale more and more in the future. So do keep that in mind as well. As I said, I will be updating this build once I find it actually entirely complete and she's, you know, much higher level and I have her talents leveled out. But I did just kind of want to give this a little bit of a preview build. With that said, let's pop into the Cryo Regisvine fight. Go ahead and get that part down first. And we got that. That's this. I probably did that in the wrong order now that I think about it, but that's alright. So you see their combined DPS here really is just much crazier, as Sucrose is just adding that huge amount of elemental, you know, mastery. I'll go ahead and heal her up as well, tank this little portion with my Noel. This Noel build is also coming soon, don't worry. And we got it down again. It looks like I don't have Gilba up yet, there we go. Sucrose is just providing that nice little elemental mastery bonus, and then I can swoop in here with Zhangling and deal that much more damage. That little combo right there is probably, yeah, did a pretty significant amount of damage, even when he wasn't like vulnerable. Woof! Almost died there. Alright, let's get that heal going. We'll finish it off with a spin to win Noel. Or maybe not. not quite enough. There we go. Finish it off with Sucrose. So there, as I mentioned, not incredibly, too strong, but you saw the combination of those elemental bursts, how she can really start to work with her teammates, providing that huge amount of damage with the swirl kind of debuff that she's doing. And that's kind of the point of this build, is to accentuate your main DPS. And I think that's really how you want to build Sucrose going forward, with her elemental mastery bonuses being such a huge part of her character. Meant to go on the character screen here. But yeah, I think you want to build her out for that elemental mastery and how much you can give your teammates, especially when you have characters like Razor. He doesn't exactly have huge elemental mastery bonuses, and she's going to be able to just bestow that much on him and allow him to deal that much more damage with the combos. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video and that it showed off a pretty decent Sucrose build for you guys. Leave your feedback in the comments below. I would love to hear, as I'm always trying to improve these videos. Let me know what you thought, and if you would like to see that updated Sucrose build video, I will be doing it, but I'm probably going to be holding off on it for a little bit, as I want to level up some other characters, get those builds out. We'll be having a Noelle build here very soon. But leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe for more content, always going to be doing more, as I said. My name is Blossoms, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Peace.